The close-knit community of Kanai Village, Brea, was today thrown into mourning with the news of the deaths of 4 people in the area. Dead are 69-year-old Michael Scott, 35-year-old Abigail Chapman, 16-year-old Olivia Chapman, and her 14-year-old friend Michaela Mason. Even as the community struggled to come to terms with news of their passing, family members were left pleading with police for the truth about what happened. More in this report.
None of them deserve that. There's no quarrel, no noisy neighbors. A loving little village we have here, peaceful. Everybody know everybody. So to see and hear what happened, it's unbelievable.
This from Peter Blackman, a neighbor and a friend of Michael Scott, who was one of 4 people found dead in Brea on Tuesday evening. Mr. Blackman said he was on his way home from the airport when he got the news. Abigail Chapman taught Spanish at the Southern Academy. Mr. Blackman said in the 2 years she occupied the downstairs apartment of the building owned by Mr. Scott, she proved herself to be a hard worker and passionate teacher.
Seeing what her 3 children, just going to say she's going to start a house, which was this month or next month, to build up a little house so that she could move out from my Scott. Right? I can't say she was renting, which I doubt very much. These are religious, they are church people. You understand? So I doubt she was renting. Even though she was renting, well, you know how it is. She ain't deserve that.
He said it would take years for the once quiet, loving community to recover from this tragedy. He said both Mr. Scott and Miss Chapman epitomized true Christianity and that the Chapman's children were always respectful.
Mr. Scott was like a brother. I'm talking from my heart. A genuine brother. A neighbor you would want to have. A villager you'd love to be around. That is what Scott was.
A relative of Mr. Scott, who agreed to speak off camera, described him as friendly and generous to a fault.
We were all Seventh-day Adventists. Everybody goes to the same church, so it's friend and family at the same time. That's the kind of relationship people have, you know. And as I say, the police did not give us information, and we asking, and we're still not getting, so we have to wait.
She finds it unfair that such a tragedy would befall people who strive to be the best possible citizens. Michael Scott, Abigail Chapman, Olivia Chapman, and Michaela Mason were found dead in the downstairs apartment of the house owned by Mr. Scott. Police believe they were killed on Monday night.
Acting Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams has described the murder of 4 Brea residents as inhumane. The top cop was questioned about the heinous act at the Digicel Theatre on Wednesday morning.
This is something which none of us in this society could ever support. When we have such brutality, young lady, 2 young girls, and an adult, a senior, being killed in such brutal conditions. Someone would say, what kind of human could ever do something like that? You would not describe somebody perpetrating such a crime as a human.
The commissioner confirmed that investigators believed 1 man was behind the diabolical act.
4 persons lost their lives through clearly violent circumstances, brutal, violent circumstances. We believe by a single perpetrator.
National Security Minister Edmund Dillon has offered his condolences to the families of the 4 people who were murdered in Brea. Speaking to reporters this afternoon, Minister Dillon said his ministry continues to look at ways to empower communities so these sorts of crimes are avoided.
And hence the reason why one of the initiatives that we want to bring on board, and we've been talking, we had some stakeholders conferences already, is the National Crime Prevention Program that will empower communities to treat or to identify the issues germane in the communities and work solutions within. But if they can't find solutions, then we bump that up to an interministerial kind of approach to treat it, to bring different kind of resources to treat the issues within the communities.
Asked about the low detection rates for murder and whether this has contributed to the crime rate as criminals may feel more confident about escaping prosecution, the National Security Minister said it's not only a matter of improving detection but also the judicial process.
For instance, last year, the police arrested almost 15,000, I remember I think it was 15,332 persons. Having done those arrests, they go to the court system. Right now, we have, out of the prison population, I think as of yesterday, there were 2,444 remandees and 1,508 convicted prisoners. So persons who are on remand are the majority, who are still waiting on trial for offenses.